In the waning years of the Cold War, a chilling incident was alleged to have occurred that would remain buried in secret files for decades. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, reports emerged of a bizarre encounter between Soviet soldiers and a UFO, an encounter so extraordinary that it was documented in a KGB file and later found its way into the CIA's archives. Declassified CIA documents initially made public in 2000 summarize this incredible story based on Soviet-era reports. Now, using those files as our guide, we will reconstruct the events of that day in 1989 and the subsequent events of 1989 to 1990, when ordinary military exercises turned into a waking nightmare. According to these reports, a Soviet military unit on a training exercise suddenly encountered something utterly unexpected in the sky. What you are about to see is a dramatization based on witness testimonies and the declassified dossier. The encounter. Siberia, USSR, 1989. It's a clear day at a remote army training ground. A group of Soviet soldiers is spread out across an open field, surrounded by dense forest, conducting routine military training maneuvers. Several soldiers are manning a mobile military radar, while others are practicing missile launches. The atmosphere is tense but ordinary, until a young guard suddenly looks up in alarm.
Что это там? Что это в небе?
The troops gaze upward and see a metallic, disc-shaped craft hovering at low altitude above the base. T is a flying saucer, unlike any known aircraft, silently gliding over their training area. For a moment, the soldiers stand frozen in disbelief and growing fear. In the declassified file, survivors would later describe a low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer, suddenly appearing above the unit. The sighting triggers a quick decision, or perhaps a rash reaction. For unknown reasons, someone orders a missile launch at the mysterious craft. The roar of the rocket breaks the silence.
Боже мой, инопланетяне.
From the shattered remains of the craft, 5 small humanoid beings emerge. The soldiers stare in awe and horror. The entities stand only about 3-4 feet tall and have disproportionately large heads and large, black, almond-shaped eyes, just as later described in the KGB report. Their bodies are thin and grayish, and they move with an unnatural grace. Their bodies coalescing into a spherical-shaped glowing orb hovering above the ground. The orb begins to buzz loudly, emitting a high-pitched, intense hum that vibrates the air. Some soldiers clap their hands over their ears at the penetrating sound. The sphere then starts to hiss and pulse with bright white light, growing increasingly luminous with each passing second. The air itself seems to crackle with energy as the glowing sphere expands. The soldiers barely have time to realize what is happening. In an instant, the orb erupts into an extremely bright burst of light, a blinding explosion of white energy that engulfs the area. The soldiers caught in its path don't even get a chance to scream. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who were watching the phenomenon are frozen in place, turned to stone. When the flash dissipates, those men are standing lifeless, like stone statues scattered around the blast zone. 2 soldiers at the periphery of the blast collapse to the ground, dazed but alive. They had been just outside the direct light, shielded by the shadows of a truck and trees, and thus survived, the only 2 out of 25 to do so. All around them, their comrades have literally petrified. The once living soldiers now stand silent, gray, and stone-like. The survivors approach one frozen figure and gingerly touch it. It's scattered with sandy stone dust. As for the mysterious attackers, the aliens, they are gone. In the wake of the blinding burst, no sign remains of the 5 humanoids or the glowing sphere. Whether they vaporized themselves in the blast or simply vanished is unknown. What remains is the grim tableau of an entire unit turned to stone and the smoking wreckage of an unearthly craft. Subscribe, like the film, and share your thoughts in the comments. Aftermath. In the immediate aftermath, the surviving soldiers, once they overcome their panic, radio for backup. Military command and KGB officers arrive swiftly and seal off the area. The 2 traumatized survivors are whisked away for debriefing, and the scene is treated as highly classified. Special recovery teams in protective suits examine the site. They carefully collect pieces of the crashed UFO and the brittle stone remains of the petrified soldiers. Every fragment, every body, is gathered as evidence of this bizarre encounter. According to the declassified CIA report, the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transported to a secret scientific research facility near Moscow for further study. The Soviet authorities, stunned by what they have on their hands, want to understand exactly what transpired. The recovered alien craft debris is shipped to a secure lab, and the stone bodies of the soldiers are laid out for forensic examination. In the laboratory, scientists and medics, dressed in white radiation and biological protection suits that completely cover their bodies and heads, examine the remains of soldiers under bright lights. What they discover defies belief. The molecular structure of the soldiers' bodies has been altered. Tests show that the composition of their tissue is no different from ordinary limestone rock. In essence, flesh, bone, and blood have been transmuted into stone. The soldiers truly have become statues down to the molecular level. Researchers are baffled and horrified. The scientists hypothesize that a form of energy unknown to science was responsible for this horrific transformation. Such a phenomenon has never been documented before. They consider possibilities. Some kind of directed radiation? A weapon that triggers instantaneous crystallization of living cells? The KGB report, later obtained by the CIA, speculated that a source of energy still unknown to Earthlings had changed the soldiers' organisms, turning them into a limestone-like substance. It is a frightening new technology, far beyond human understanding. The recovered UFO debris is also scrutinized. Engineers and military experts pore over the fragments of metal, trying to reverse engineer whatever they can. but details of what they learned, if anything, remain tightly guarded secrets. What is known from the file is the chilling effect the device had on the soldiers. Photographs taken of the grisly aftermath were later described as a horrific picture of revenge on the part of extraterrestrial creatures, a picture that makes one's blood freeze, according to one American intelligence agent who saw them Vice.com. Indeed, the scene of 23 stone figures, soldiers caught mid-action and turned to rock, must have been terrifying to behold. Conclusion. The Siberian UFO incident remains one of the most extraordinary stories of the late Cold War era. To this day, no definitive proof has emerged beyond the testimonies and documents we've described. The CIA has not officially confirmed the incident. The file itself appears to be a translation of foreign news reports, casting some uncertainty on the account. Skeptics point out that the story might be exaggerated or a hoax. Yet, the very idea that such an event could have occurred is as fascinating as it is terrifying. Our film has combined the declassified report's details with dramatic reenactments to bring this eerie tale to life. In the end, we leave it to you to decide what to believe. Did a platoon of Soviet soldiers truly encounter beings from another world that day? Were these men victims of an unimaginable extraterrestrial cosmic revenge? Or is the story merely a Cold War myth that has taken on a life of its own? The legacy of the 1989 incident endures in whispers and files, a reminder that the universe still holds secrets we are struggling to comprehend. Whether truth or legend, the story of the soldiers turned to stone serves as a stark warning. If intelligent life beyond Earth does exist, perhaps we are not the only ones capable of decisive force. As one intelligence officer said,
"They can stand up for themselves if attacked."
Subscribe, like the film, and share your thoughts in the comments.